In this lesson, you will learn how to use track mats, which are similar to layer masks, but track mats use the transparency or the brightness values of one layer to reveal or hide parts of another layer. Track mats and masks are very similar in that they are both used to show and hide content on a layer. Masks are tied directly to the layer that they affect. If the layer moves, the mask moves with the layer. Whereas track mats are independent layers, they are not tied to a layer. And multiple layers can use the same track mat. Masks are created using either the shape tools or the pen tool. Well, you can also use the shape tools or the pen tool to create track mats, but you can also create track mats using text, videos, images, solids, graphics. Just about anything can be used as track mats. No layers selected in the layers panel. Choose any fill color you want. You do not need a stroke, but it's okay if you have one. I'll hold the shift key to make a perfect circle. I can use the spacebar to reposition the circle. The circle shape layer is going to be the track mat layer. And any other layer that we set to the track mat is going to be called fill layers. There are two main modes when it comes to using track mat layers. There's alpha mat. This refers to the transparency or the alpha channel of the track mat layer. And the second mode is luma mat. Luma being short for luminance, the bright and dark parts of the track mat layer. You've probably heard of RGB channels, red, green, blue. Well, you often see RGBA. The A refers to an alpha channel. RGB channels store the color information. Alpha channels store the transparency information. So everything inside of those pink transform handles is part of this track mat layer. And wherever you see the grid, that is transparent or the alpha channel of this layer. So when using an alpha mat, whatever is transparent is going to be hidden. Whatever is opaque, so this yellow circle, is going to be visible. And you can invert an alpha mat, which will do the exact opposite. When you set a track mat layer to luma mat, the bright parts of the track mat layer will show what is on the fill layers. The darkest parts of the track mat layer are going to hide what is on the fill layers. And you can also invert a luma mat, which will do the opposite. To use track mats, you must first enable the modes in the layers panel. So you can just right-click in the header, go to columns, and check modes. You can also click the second button to expand or collapse the transfer controls pane. So I'll click, and now you'll see the track mat column. There are 4 parts to the track mat column. A pick whip is just a faster and cooler way to select a layer as a mat. So you click, it's got kind of a rubber band feel. You assign one layer and you set the track mat. There's also a drop down to select the track mat layer. This is the less cool way. And then there's 2 columns. You set one as either an alpha or a luma mat. And the second one is if you want to invert the alpha or luma mat. The shape layer or the circle is going to be the track mat. So I'm going to tap enter or return, and I'm just going to call it circle track mat. The blue felt background is going to be the fill layer. So I'm going to fill the track mat layer with the blue felt background. So what you do is you select the fill layer and then you choose which layer you want to use as the track mat. So I can use the drop-down menu and select the circle track mat layer. I can also use the pick whip and just click and drag it right onto the circle track mat layer. once you select the track matte, After Effects is going to hide the visibility of the track matte layer. So notice it's visible. You can see the circle, but as soon as we assign the fill layer to the track matte layer gets hidden. So now the track matte is filled with that blue felt background layer. You can always tell which layers are being used as a track matte, as you can see that little square with the circle in the center. If we go to this column, this is the Alpha Matte Luma Matte column. So you just click to switch between Alpha Matte and Luma Matte. And this column here is whether you want to invert the matte. That just does the opposite. The track matte is currently set to Alpha Matte. So everything that was opaque or yellow on the track matte layer is showing the contents of the fill layer. And if I tick the box to invert the Alpha Matte, you guessed it, everything that was opaque or yellow is now hiding the contents of the fill layer, and everything that was transparent on the track matte is now showing the contents of the fill layer. Similar to masks, track mattes can also punch holes, revealing layers below. To disable an inverted matte, just click so the box is empty, and now we're back to Alpha Matte mode. And to switch from Alpha Matte to Luma Matte, click, and now we're in Luma Matte. To make the Luma Matte a little easier to understand, I'm going to use this gradient. So pure black at the top, pure white at the bottom. And I'm going to go to the blue fill layer. I'm going to change the track matte from the circle shape to the gradient. And look what happens. The lightest parts, or the pure white, are showing the contents of the fill layer. The darkest parts, pure black, is hiding the contents of the fill layer. And everything in between is sort of semi-transparent. And if I invert the Luma Matte, everything that is dark or black on the track matte layer is showing the contents of the fill layer. And as we get to the lighter or the whiter parts, it is hiding the visibility of the fill layer. If you no longer want to use a layer as a track matte, just go to the track matte column and choose No Matte. I have these two animated textures and I want to place them inside of the circle. The circle is going to be the track matte layer. The blue and the orange textures are going to be the fill layers. I'll select the orange texture layer, go to the track matte pick whip. I'm going to click. I'll drag it onto the circle track matte layer. Once I do, the track matte layer has been automatically hidden. If I look in the Alpha Luma Matte column, I have an Alpha Matte selected. If I invert that, everything in the circle is now transparent or hidden. Everything on the outside is being revealed. I'll click to disable the inverted mask. And to get the blue texture in, I'm going to select the blue texture layer. I'll click on the pick whip and drag it on to the circle track matte. And now we have animated textures inside of a shape. If I tap S, I can increase the scale of the shape. It is not affecting the texture layers. The track matte layer is independent. I can move or animate the track matte, and I can also move the texture layers to create some really unique looks. And remember, just about any type of layer can be a track matte. I'll just select both the orange and blue textures. I can just drag one pick whip and they both will select the track matte layer. And now I have animated text inside of my logo. How cool is that? Want to put a video inside of text? Use a track matte. The text layer will be the track matte layer. The video will be the fill layer. You're going to select the video or the fill layer, go to the track matte, click the drop down, and choose the text layer. Remember, the text layer is the track matte with an alpha matte the video is now inside of the text. You can move the text layer independently from the video. You can use track mats to create text animations in a matter of seconds. Add a text layer. The text layer is going to be the fill layer. Deselect all layers in the Layers panel, as now we're going to create a shape that is going to be the track mat layer. Click on the Shape tool, choose the Rectangle tool. Choose any fill color. Stroke does not matter. Click and drag out a shape that covers all of the text. I'll click the layer, tap Enter or Return to rename the layer. I'm just going to name it Shape Track Mat. Select the text layer. Go to the Track Mat column, click on the drop-down, and choose the Shape layer. You can also click on the pick whip and drag it onto the Shape layer. Once you let go, the visibility for that shape layer or the track mat layer is going to be automatically hidden. So the text layer is the fill layer, the track mat is the shape layer, and we have an alpha mat selected. With alpha mat, everything inside of the shape layer track mat is being revealed. When we move the track mat outside, the transparency is hiding the text. If you want the opposite, you can invert the alpha mat. So I'll click, the text inside is hidden, but when we move the shape layer or the track mat, we are going to reveal the text. I'm going to select the shape layer, and I'm just going to move it to the left off the canvas. I'll make sure the CTI is at the beginning of the timeline. I'm going to tap P for position. I'm going to click on the stopwatch to add a keyframe. I'll move forward in time about the 1 second mark. I'm going to click on the shape layer or on the bounding box. I'll press the Shift key to make sure it stays in a straight line, and I'm just going to drag it to reveal all the text. You see that little rubber band? That's the motion path. I'll drag the CTI back, tap the spacebar. We've got ourselves a nice little reveal animation using a track mat. If I want to reverse the direction, I'll move it, let's say, to the 2 second mark. I'll select the shape layer again. This time, I'm going to click on the little diamond to add a keyframe. I'll move to the 3 second mark. I'm going to click, hold the Shift key, drag it in the reverse direction. I'm going to select all the keyframes by clicking on the word position. I'm going to tap F9 to ease the keyframes. I'll drag the CTI back, spacebar. Easy as that. Now that you know how cool and powerful track mats can be in After Effects, in the next lesson, it's time for you to roll up your sleeves and practice what you learned in Unit 3.